Brother, not audible.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just asking about how what are some positives that we saw about contemporary music or contemporary Christian music. So some of those things are like one thing is of course the revelation of God is the contemporary, the move of God or whatever God is doing at present is captured, in such language and conveyed. So it's used in the church to worship God, to edify one another, and so on, right? And also the style of music is also something that most people can relate to, maybe. And also this is again a very general term, right? In the sense, see, what I call as contemporary may not be contemporary to you, right? It could be, for example, like I might be saying, okay, this song is something that recently, I've been listening, but then that song could be something very, very old, something very, ancient for some other person, right? So it depends on where we are living, and so so when we use contemporary, also, it's a very limited sense, right? But the fact is that the kind of music that we use can reach the people of that particular generation, right? Reach the people of the generation. It's better suited to reach the people of the generation, and that also changes from place to place. It changes. I remember one two brothers. They studied here. I don't know if I've shared this with you. They studied here in Bible College. Their church was in Chennai, and so they had Tamil service there. So it was mainly, even though Chennai is a city, the people who came were from the villages and so on, and some city folks also. So they came here and they, of course, heard a lot of our songs that we used during the praise and worship time, and then they said, "Hey, this we need to teach this to our church. We need to do this thing." And so a lot of the songs here were very contemporary, upbeat. So they were really, they liked the songs by Hillsong and all that, and then they translated into Tamil. Okay, and they also tried to teach them the English songs, right? So and they said, there's very bad response. They're trying to this thing. They don't understand, Pastor. They don't, they are all, So they were really looking down on the people. I said, so that's when we said, you can't take this and then use it, right? You can't take something here and then use it there. What is relevant for the people, right? What is relevant for that generation, and what is relevant in that culture? Use that. What is contemporary in that culture, right? For that generation, use that kind of music, and it'll be more relevant. They'll open up more, right? So that was something. So the thing is also, we need to understand what is contemporary changes from region to region, and we can't. There's no one size fits all kind of a solution, right? Okay, so then we looked at some of the negatives. Negatives meaning this whole culture of awards, and also the whole thing of how it has come to mean that it is worship music. Not only is it a genre of music because of the awards, but it also has become an industry, right? Again, because of the awards and promotions and everything. So just like any other industry, it has also become an industry. So we need to be careful, right? Yes, we need to, we can't say I don't want to be there. We can be there because it can be a voice. It can be a, the truth is going to that group also, and to the churches beyond, people beyond that. But one has to be careful not to be swayed by the popularity or fame or reputation, and and everything that comes with that, right? Okay. The other negative thing is that one can have a very band mentality, right? For example, you can say, okay, the group is of 5-6 people, and I'm sure you would have seen a band, right? Like a band like Petra, a band like Striper, or any other band. So there is a, in a typical contemporary band, like, who are the people in the band? Doing what? Can you just tell me? In a contemporary band, you'll have a drummer, you'll have a bass guitar player, you'll have an electric guitar player, you'll have a keyboardist. Huh? Not in a contemporary band, right? Cello, of course, in a Western classical kind of a thing, but yes. But if you look at a typical five-piece band, you'll have a lead singer who will also play an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar. You might have a backup singer or singers. Like this is a typical band. Okay, so the thing is, when it comes to contemporary music, because of the nature of music and because there is a band involved, it is very easy for people to have a band mentality when it comes to ministering, right? See, when you look at a local church, yes, there are people who are playing or ministering in music, singing, but it's not like the band has an identity of its own. There are many people, right? In a band, let's say if you have 6 people or 7 people, that is it. These are the 6 or 7 people. Right? If you look at any band, secular or even otherwise, these are the 6 or 7 people. They are the ones who are popular. Their name comes there, and they are the ones. Okay, this is the band. This is the musician. So that is when you name the people in the band, these are the people. So in fact, we had a very difficult thing when it came to copyright. Right, we had to apply for to go to those days we released and we wanted copyright, so we sent it to Delhi for the copyright issue and office. So they said, who are the band members? I said, it's a church, right? It's so many people. No, they want names. Okay, who's the lead singer? Right. So saying no, it's a worship band, worship team. That understanding is not there. They want typically who is the instrumental, who's the singer, who's the lead singer, and those kind of things, right? So it can have a very band mentality, band identity. Okay, so for example, the first one that we see here, the band. Okay, am I sharing this? No. Okay, so the band is a closed circle, which means these are the number of people. As long as the band is in existence, these are the people who will be playing there. Very rarely is there a change, right? Because maybe someone passed away, or maybe that person had some fight with the band member and then left the band, or had to, was forced to leave the band because of behavior issues, whatever. Then the replacement comes. But otherwise, the band members are typically the same, right? So it is like very restrictive. You can't be part of it. That's it. Right? But when it comes to a worship ministry, or what is there in the notes as LCWM, is a local church worship ministry. Right? When you have a local church, that means that there is always room for more. Right? Whoever's called, whoever's gifted, whoever's has the heart, has the place to serve. They're part of the church, right? And they are called in that particular area of ministry. They are gifted, and there could be some criteria, some qualifications like a test or an audition, and of course they need to pass that. But there is always room. There is always room, right? Whereas in a band, that's it. So what happens is that because of all the way in which the industry functions, it is possible to have a band kind of a mentality, saying, okay, yeah, I don't want the others in here. I'm part of the team. That's it. This is the team. I don't want others. Right? So for the people who are, even though they could be sincere, uh, this kind of a mentality creeps in, right? So that is dangerous, right? So identity is in the band and not in the Lord, right? And they don't want people in because we have a good working rapport with each other, and we have a good relationship with each other, we have a good chemistry with each other. I don't want to mess that up, right? So that's a typical band mentality. Whereas in a local church, well, there could be some four drummers, there could be some five bass players, whatever it is. You all play together, take turns to play together, right? There is no question of this is the band and they'll play only with these people. No, right? So so that is the first thing that we see, right? And the band also has a sense of ownership to the music they write, right? you know in this course, we are also going to be we will be, from time to time, sharing about what is happening here in All People's Church, in the worship ministry, and also in other churches in worship ministry. Some of the best practices, some of the effective use of various things, right, in the ministry to be effective in ministry, right? So when it comes to this, the band always has ownership of the songs they produce, ownership of the of the music they compose and everything. This is a copyright, this ownership, saying that it belongs to us, right? Uh, but then when it comes to a local church, it belongs, yes, since the church is invested, it belongs to the church, right? The copyright, there could be something about copyright being part of the church, but then it is not to an individual, or it is not even to the individual or individuals who are part of the songwriting or composing, right? Whenever, for example, APC music, right? So when we say APC music, it doesn't belong to a person. That's why if you actually go and check out the songs on YouTube, you will see that it is APC music, a ministry of All People's Church. That's it. So individual names, individual musicians, these are the musicians. No, we don't put it because it's going to keep changing. That's one. But then also, it is the church, right? And it's also healthy for us to, yeah, not really, draw attention to oneself and focus and so on. Now, the downside is, okay, people want to know who sang this, who's the singer in this, who's the musician in this. They won't get to know. They'll just know that, okay, this is a ministry of All People's Church. So intentionally, we made it like that, right? So, so when it comes to a band, it is about ownership. I own this song, and I have the copyright for this, and I get the credits for this, right? Whereas in a church, local church worship ministry, it's not like that. It's about stewarding it, right? This God has given this, and we are going to put it up, and we're going to steward it well. There's no question of it belongs to me, and I'm the only one who should get the credit and all that, right? The third one that we see is, again, we looked at it. The band is a very exclusive, privileged group, which means it has its own identity and so on. And some not so healthy practices come with that, right? Which are there in the music industry, right? People asking for autographs and, people, some kind of popularity and reputation, fame and all that, which is, following fame and following for the particular band member or band members. And sometimes what happens is a sense of entitlement. I'm expecting, I'm part of this band and I expect certain things, right? I need water to be served, kept here, or I need some things to be done right. So all these unhealthy things creep in when you have a band mentality. So we're talking about specifically about worship ministry. In worship ministry, when it's a local church ministry, and when you have a band mentality, it's very, very unhealthy, right? Okay. So the thing is this: when it comes to worship ministry, we are, as people who are worship ministers, we are serving, right? The word minister also, the meaning of the word minister is to serve, right? So we are, worship ministers are serving, not performing and getting some kind of limelight, being in the limelight, etc., right? So we need to understand that. So it is serving, and therefore we are part of, we are one. Whether you are on stage or off stage, you are the same, right? You're part of the body of Christ. You're not some exclusive special group, having some special privileges. No, you are serving, you are a servant, and you are serving God's people. and and that's the thing. That's the mentality. That's how we should, you know. So the most important thing is character, and ability, of course, is important. We need to be able to play or minister. Ability is important, but the thing is, the primary thing is character, which qualifies us, right? And our walk with God, which qualifies us. Okay. um a band can be, gender, talent, looks, or age prejudice. What does that mean? That means that, okay, we are a boy band. I'm sure you've heard those terms. This is a boy band, all are men, or this is a all girls group. They were formed like that to have a certain identity. This is an all girls group, and these are the songs they sing, and so on. Whereas when it comes to a local church, it's open to all. You know, like a band mentality can also have, there can be a grouping based on the age group. This is a teen band, and so this is the age, of the band members, and they can't be any other age group. You can't have one 60-year-old person playing in that. Whereas in a local church ministry, in a ministry team, there are people of all ages, right? If the youngest could be whatever be the age that you say, and then the oldest, right? So it doesn't matter. It can be all age in between as well, right? So that is the thing, right? And and some of the questions that we ask are not about their age or gender, or the questions we ask are something to do with character, deeper questions, right? Faithfulness, commitment. Um, is this person trustworthy? Is this person dependable? Right? Is the person humble? Is the person teachable? So these are the questions, right? It's not about, okay, is it their age, right? Is it about their looks? Is it about their, those kind of questions are not what is important. It's about faithfulness, dependability, trustworthiness, and so on. Okay. Okay. So a band might have band goals, right? So they might have touring goals, they might have album release goals, they might have award function goals. All these could be their part of the goal. They could have promotion goals, like this is, they could have PR goals, public relations. We need to build the image of the brand image of the band, all that. They could have such goals. Whereas um, the local church worship ministry has the vision, which has been defined in consultation with the senior leadership, the senior pastor, and it flows with the local church's mission, right? Vision and mission. So it flows with that. So it's nothing that is separate from that, right? Because one thing that we need to understand is, first of all, we are part of the church community, church body, and then we serve the church body. Okay, we are part of the community, and then we serve the church body. So, which means everything, the direction and the flow of the church becomes the direction and flow of the worship ministry. So I can't say, the worship team, I have this vision. I have a different vision, which is different from being salt and light in the city. I have something else. No, I can't be, right? Because I'm part of the church community, right? And I'm serving the church community, which means, so that is why, it's not like, okay, we'll pull in that musician, this musician from that church here, and then, you lead one Sunday. No, because as a church ministry, you are part of the church, and then you minister to the church, right? Minister to the body. So that's those are some things that we look at. Those are some negatives of the band mentality. Band is about performing. Okay, so which means that, what is the goal of the band? Hey, I need to sing it or play this perfect, excellently. So it's a good thing, but that is it. It's not about leading a person into the presence of God. right? So a band would always say, okay, as a band, did we do well? As a band, did we play without any mistakes? As a band, did we play excellently? Did the people enjoy? Did the people enjoy? Did the people appreciate? Um, so that is it, right? Whereas it is here, it is about the presence of God. Did we facilitate leading people to experience the presence of God? Okay. Yes, we will look at certain criteria like, okay, did we sound good? Did we play right? As a worship team, did we do all those things in the natural? But then first priority is, did we hinder the presence of God or did we facilitate people to worship? Right? Did we facilitate that or did we hinder that? Were we barriers actually? Did people focus on us rather than on Jesus? Right? That's a barrier, right? So those are things. Okay. So those are some points that we can look at as negatives of having a band mentality. So when we compare and when we look at the characteristics of band worship versus worship ministry, we see that the worship ministry has a very different vision and functioning. Okay, so the contemporary Christian music industry and some of the culture of it, we need to be careful that it doesn't creep in, or unknowingly or out of ignorance, we don't adapt the same thing. Hey, these guys are doing it. It seems like this looks great. Why don't we also do it? Right now, you think about what is our functioning, what is our vision, what is our purpose, why are we here, right? What are we called to do? And then you make those changes, right? So, so that's the thing. It's about humbling ourselves in order to minister to others. Okay. Any questions here? If you have any questions, any thoughts? Now, I also understand that some of these things may not be relevant to all the churches. In certain churches, there's only one person who's leading, who's singing. That's it. One person playing some instrument. It may not be really relevant, but as the ministry grows, and if it is a more so, if it is an urban setting and a contemporary urban church, this would be very, very relevant things, and these are important things to consider, right? When we are ministering in whether we are part of a team, a worship ministry team, or whether we are overseeing one, maybe you're a senior pastor. These are things one needs to be aware of and pay a lot of importance to. Right? So, any questions? No, you have a question? Okay, that's nice.
Pastor, in our area, there are some churches which they
So,
don't.
where?
Odisha, Raurkela.
Raurkela, okay.
It's far away from Raurkela. It's little tribal area.
Mm.
Some churches, there are some parents that don't allow to play means Western type of music, keyboard, guitar.
Mm.
So how we can make them?
So the church leadership does not allow any of these instruments to play and all that. Any particular reason why? Have you asked them?
Didn't ask, but we have just one regional instruments like brother told Mandar and Dholak. They want to stick with that, and they want to teach their children also that. This why you are going to the Western music, because we have our tribal instruments. You have to play this.
Okay, so maybe the leadership feels a little threatened by any other instrument, or maybe they feel a little threatened that they will lose their identity. As okay, this is the people, this is a group we belong to, and as it is, I think you may have experienced more and more people are like maybe moving to the city. You will see people who are getting educated, maybe finding livelihood outside of that place. Better opportunities. They move, and so maybe the leadership feels, a little bit threatened, if we bring in that influence, then what will happen, kind of a thing. So it's good to ask, sit and ask, why do you, maybe if somebody whom they can trust, maybe if they trust you, and you can say, can I use this to play? Of course, it's about worship, and maybe they know you, they trust you, and they might, say, okay, right? So we just need to build that trust and ask if it's okay, and also to find out if maybe they faced some problems in the past. There could be history behind that decision. It's good to find out and then do it. Yeah. So it's not always easy, right? So because it means changing a whole lot of things. It means new problems. It means new investments. The financial part of it also is tied to it, right? So it's not easy. But if it helps the cause, if it helps the vision of the church, and the leadership sees that they can trust the person who's actually doing it, then they might say, okay, right? So that's the thing. And the leadership also is changing, like there is a previous generation, and maybe there's a new generation of leaders who are coming up, and maybe they'll be open to that, and maybe they can speak to the previous generation of leaders, the senior leaders, and do this. So a lot depends on the trust, whether they trust the person to give that opportunity. Yeah. Yeah.
Pastor, how they played music and like how they worship that time that Jericho wall fall.
Hmm.
Like how it can happen if we think scientifically.
Yeah. So scientifically, okay. Yeah, it goes beyond logic, which means it goes beyond science. Science is about cause and effect. You do this, there is a thing, but this is beyond that, right? So I don't think we can. So though many people might say, okay, this frequency, if you play this frequency, maybe that, you know, uh, I don't know, that interfered with the frequency of the object, and therefore it cracked. Cracked. Sorry. See, certain, like if you have a glass, if you play at very high frequency, it does, it does break. It can break, right? So you can have a discussion about frequency and did they play at that frequency. But the thing is, how do they know, right? So the instruction given was, that's it. You go around, you play, and you shout. That's it. And we know uh, when you see the thickness of the walls, it's like two chariots can go, which means that it's a pretty strong wall. And for that wall of stones and everything to come down, it's a supernatural work. There's nothing more we can. Science can answer and say, okay, certain frequencies, material will crumble and break down, etc. But when we look at this, doesn't seem like it. So can we do that again? I don't know. Only if God, I think, instructs, we can. You know, that is what they were saying. Yeah.
Pastor, like I don't know,
Mhm.
but I heard somewhere. So it is right information or wrong, I don't know. But someone was telling like if there is high frequency, there's a chances to something create.
Something
So,
creative. Huh?
yeah.
Mhm.
So the voice of God is like that.
Mm.
So when he speaks, it's like we have octaves in
Mm,
keyboard.
mm, mm.
So if it is go like that, so it can create something. It is right or wrong.
I really don't know. I really don't know. With the voice of God, say it sounds like it thunders. It's like the voice of many waters, which is not a high frequency, actually. I mean, just to answer that question. So we really don't know, right? And so with regard to some frequencies creating, I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. Maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. Yeah. Hey, online class, any questions? Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the next chapter. So we're looking at some of the organizational aspects, right? Which means that okay, here's the local church. In the local church, you're doing this ministry, and as part of the ministry, which is you have worship as part of the ministry. Every Sunday, you're going to be having a gathering. There is worship. There is prayer. So there is there are these group of people who are part of that ministry. So organizationally, how can we plan and organize ourselves to be effective, right? So that's that's very important, because if you're not organized, if you're not structured, then anything goes and anything can happen, right? And I remember as a church, we did not have the processes that we have now, right? So we would say, okay, hey, can you play? Yeah, you can play. Okay, come play, right? So we just looked at the skill. We did not consider the person, right? You're coming to church, and the person might be coming to church for various reasons, right? We don't really know. And then just because a person could play an instrument, we would say, okay, come. So we learned from those mistakes. And I personally remember there's one person who could play violin, and I personally told him, like, hey, come, let's, next Sunday you play. And he played one Sunday, and that was it. After that, he did not come to church at all. So things like that. So then all the processes that we have is something that we learned from mistakes, and something that we learned from other ministries and other churches, something that's good, beneficial, God honoring, and also it gives certain structure, and it helps us to be effective in the way we do ministry, right? So yeah. So when we look at the worship team, okay, so we're saying that in worship ministry there is a team, right? So I'm sure in Christian leadership you learned, right? We learned about the team, that there is definitely benefit when there are more than one person, right? More than one person, then you call that a team. The Lord Jesus, he sent out people two by two. He sent out his disciples two by two, which is the basic part of a team, two people, right? So he sent them out so that in a team, there is a lot of things that happen, a lot of dynamics, right? There is greater strength, right, in a team, because it's two people, at least two people. Right? So when you have a team, then there is sharing of ideas, there is greater strength, there's a lot of synergy that happens, that creativity that comes, and so with the team, and if the team there is on fire, passionate, with a team which has the right understanding of the vision, that's very important. So a lot of dynamics of the team, right? A healthy team, not a toxic team. So there are some disadvantages, there are some negative things that can happen in a team that's functioning badly, right? Which far outweighs all the advantages. So with regard to attitude, with regard to skill, with regard to having the right vision, so all that matters. But the thing is that there are benefits when people work together as a team. So we are looking at worship ministry, and we're saying, okay, it's not just a solo thing, but it's a team, and a team that is united, right? So if you look at the structure, if you follow the notes, there is there's a structure there. Now this is something that we have here, right? And it can be different, but this works, right? So you see that there is a pastor, which means the senior pastor or the senior pastoral team or the leadership. Then we could have a worship pastor or a chief musician. A worship pastor, both the spiritual and the skill aspect of the team, okay, overseeing that. Okay. A chief musician would also be someone who's a good believer, who's rooted in God's word, etc., but focuses on the music part of it. Okay, so we read, we read in the tabernacle that David built, there were these musicians, right? They were skilled musicians, they would teach others, and they were in charge of prophesying and accompanying the singer. So there is a role there, right? If there is such a person, then they will be part of the leadership of the worship ministry. Then we have the band. So when we say band, we are talking about the musicians, right? Musicians. So it's not, the band mentality that we were talking about. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the musicians, okay? People who play music instruments. Then there is, on the other side, you see the singers, right? So we have musicians. Musicians are people who could play music instrument. Then you have singers who sing. Now, there could be others who could be both singers and musicians, right? People could be playing multiple instruments. They could sing as well. So you could have that, right? So normally what happens is there is also the integral part of the worship ministry is also the sound team. Okay, so what is the sound team? Because now, you know that as the team grows or as the ministry grows, as the congregation grows, there is the requirement for amplification of the audio, right? If you look at maybe, more than 50, more than 40 even, you need to amplify the sound, right? So that people can hear. And there is better control of the environment when you amplify the sound. You can reduce it, you can increase it, you can do all that, right? So there is a requirement for a sound team, right? If there is a hall and you have, I've been in places where the sound team is, doing a very bad job, right? They're not doing it right. There is constant feedback. They have not set it. In fact, recently I went for an engagement where there were two people who were supposed to sing, right? They were supposed to sing the first song. This is the first song. And I saw them. They were there in the hall 1 hour before. They were talking to others and this thing. But when their names were called out, that is when they are searching for the track, the music track. And they were somewhere outside. And they came in, and that is when they are giving the music track to the sound person. Okay, he's giving them, you play this track. So he's not even checked the sound. They have not checked their voices. And finally, they sang from the podium, the lapel. I mean, the podium has a mic, right? It attached to it. So it's actually meant for speech, not for singing. There were two cordless mics. But if they had seen it, if they had talked to the sound person, they would have been able to use the cordless mic, maybe do and practice. 1 hour before they came, they were all it was I was just looking at it. I was like, wow, what is happening? Right. So the sound team is very important, and our interaction with the sound team is very important. Right? They're integral part of the ministry, because now the music, the team itself, and the kind of musicians and singers you have. It could be complex. It could have many musicians, which means everything has to be, mic'd, and it has to go through the audio system, which means there has to be a competent sound team and good understanding between the team and the worship ministers, right? Okay, and also the media. We've just put it as slides in LCD projector. That is the media team. So now we know that, those days we had. I don't know if your church had it, but we had hymn books, right? Song books. So it was all printed. It was a book. So people actually went to church with the Bible and the song book. Okay. And then I think there were song books kept in the church itself, right? They were on the church pews. There'll be song books. So the pastor will say, okay, now we will sing hymn number 242. So you open up. Then we say everybody sings that song, right? So with the expression of worship, so there's no question of raising hands. With the book you have to raise, right? There's no question of clapping hands, because you've got the songbook in your hand. So now with the expression, with the revelation and understanding that worship is beyond just singing. I can express my heart. And the psalmist talks about clapping, the psalmist talks about shouting, and then this whole thing of, okay, let's put the song where people can see, so that they can be free to express their worship to God, right? So the media, it's, I don't know how many of you are aware of the what did we call it? We call it the LCD. We call it the OHP, overhead projector. Have you used it in any of the churches? So these are thin sheets of this thing, transparent paper on which you print. It's like a plastic sheets, right? And you put it on the overhead projector, right? So it's got light coming out of it. You put it on that, and then it's got a lens, and it projects on the wall or the screen. Have you seen it? OHP, yeah, overhead projector. Okay, so high powered bulb, it's there, and then you use it on the wall. So which means you have to have a file of songs, physical file, right? And we used to have this file. We used to have it alphabetically sorted. So all the songs starting in A, Awesome God, Adonai. We had, it was according to, so if somebody is singing, okay, Awesome God, quickly go to A, pull this out, and put it on that, and then put it back. So so we had that. Then came the LCD projectors, right? So you had the projector. Now also we have LED projectors with the the same kind of projector. So you have a laptop and you project it through that, right? LCD or LED. And then we also have the LED walls now, right? So you have those big projection walls like we have, and through the laptop, through the Mac, it goes there. So you can project lyrics and video and whatnot, right? So that is where it is right now. We don't know what the next technology would be. Maybe holograms. You heard of holograms, right? Holograms is right there. It's as if the pastor is standing there and preaching, right? So it creates a real live image, right? 3D image right there. So maybe, I don't know, we'll make do with, make away with all this LEDs and have more space, right? Then the congregation is also very much part of the worship ministry, right? So we have all these elements. Okay, so then each of these have their roles and responsibilities, have their functions. Whatever we have seen, they have their roles and responsibilities. And as long as the roles and responsibilities are carried out effectively, then we have a smooth functioning, effective ministry, right? So in our next class, we'll look at the role of the pastor, the role of the worship pastor, and so on. So for us to get a better understanding of these roles, so that if there's any change in the way we are functioning, as a worship team, we can do that. And also, if we want to start a worship ministry, this will be useful as well, saying, okay, these are different roles. And so I don't have to be reinventing a role, but these are already there. All we have to do is adapt it to that particular culture and church and ministry, right? Okay, so we'll stop here and then we'll continue, pick it up next class. Thank you.